hold on. All right, so the pop quiz was on solving linear systems by substitution. I need my pen to work. I'm going to abbreviate. Okay. Number 1 was 5x plus 2y equals 9. And x plus y equals -3. Remember, the goal of substitution is to solve for one of the variables in one of the equations and substitute that back into the other. So you have to choose an equation that you would like to start with. What are we looking for in the equation that we're going to start with? Like, is there something that you want to happen?
A number that you could subtract easier? Or no.
Okay. Somebody build off of that. Gracie?
If it has you want a opposite sign with the same coefficient, so they'll cancel it out. So you can substitute.
You're getting elimination substitution mixed up. That's okay. That's all right. Do we want to pick an equation and solve it for a variable and get like weird fractions? Because that's going to make it more difficult. Okay. So what are we looking for when we're trying to choose an equation?
Simple.
Okay. What do you mean by simple?
Well, I mean, you can solve it, and you're gonna get it doesn't have to be even. Well, yeah, you're gonna get a whole number.
Okay. You're looking for an equation that you can solve in one step. Okay. So if you look at these two up here, that top one, if you look at the coefficients 5, 2, and 9, regardless of what variable you solve for, you would still have to divide both sides by either 2 or 5, depending on what you're solving for. And 9/2 or 9/5, that's not going to simplify. Okay, so I'm going to use this one to start with. So you choose the one you want to start with. Oh, y'all, people who are watching, correct your quiz as I do this. Okay. So once you pick the one you want to start with, then you're going to write the other one. You're in the middle. And then you're going to write the one you started with again. Okay? Why do you think I set it up like that?
So it goes in order of the whole problem.
I need people who are correcting their quiz to participate. After I solve for a variable here, where am I going to put that?
Yeah, put back in the original problem. Or the next equation.
The other equation in the system. And then once I solve for whatever value there in the middle, where do I substitute that in?
The original.
To the other equation. Okay, so it's kind of like you're starting here, and it's like you're kind of going in a circle. All right. So here you can solve for x or y by doing one step. I'm going to solve for x. So if you subtract y on both sides, x equals -3 minus y. Remember, that's the same as -y minus 3. You can write it either way. So x is -3 minus y. So that means I'm going to take what x is and substitute that in for the x in the other equation in the of the system. I saw some mistakes where, like, you would substitute properly, but then you wouldn't bring down the rest of the equation, like the plus 2y. And that would change your answer, right? Yeah, that would change it big time. So you have to remember that you're just substituting in for one of the variables. You have to bring down everything else that you haven't used yet. Distribute 5 times negative 3 is negative 15 minus 5y plus 2y equals 9. What am I going to do next?
Combine like terms.
Okay. And when you say combine like terms, are you talking about specific terms? Are you talking about the y terms? Okay. Why do you think that's important? We simplify those first before we start doing anything else.
Makes it a lot easier.
Okay. What else do you think?
On the same side of it.
Yes, but why are we simplifying? Why are we combining like terms? Why can't we just leave it as negative 5y plus 2y?
They're the same thing.
Okay.
You just need one.
You just need one y to solve for. Very good. So that's the point of that. You have to combine like terms first before you start actually solving for the variable. Now, how am I going to combine these? We have, you guys know I like to box mine in. So we have negative 5y plus 2y. How am I, whenever I combine those, Garrett, what should I get? Negative 3y. Remember, if they're on the same side, together, I can pause it and give you time to write it down. Okay, so I really like you to watch. If they're on the same side together, you literally read it from left to right. Negative 5y plus 2y is Garrett, you said negative 3y. Alrighty. Remember, we can't add a variable to another number and get some new number. That's not possible. We don't know what that variable represents. So you have to move this 15 over. And then y equals negative 8. So if y equals negative 8, x equals 5. And then when we, like yesterday when we talked about elimination, was our answer in ordered pair? Yes. So in substitution, your answer is going to be an ordered pair. You have to write that ordered pair. I'm not going to go looking for what x equals and what y equals. So you need to very clearly, and you don't have to write it like huge, but write it and then have your check close by so I can see that as well. Okay? Somebody want to help me with this one? Please. Garrett.
Since the second equation was already solved for the variable, we just plug in that for y in the first equation.
Okay. Do you mind if I do my column thing? Is that okay? All right. So you said we're going to start at the bottom because why?
Because what? We already know what y equals.
Yeah. Good, because we already know what y equals. Okay, so if y equals 10x minus 8, where are we going to substitute 10x minus 8 into?
The y. And first equation.
There. Will you tell me what to bring down?
You bring down negative 5 x, and you distribute the 3 to the 10x and negative 8.
Okay.
And then bring down the equal to 5.
Okay.
And you multiply the 3 times the 10x, which will give you 30x.
Plus 30x or
Plus 30x.
Okay. Alright.
And then you would do 3 times negative 8 would give you minus 24.
all right. Now what?
And then you would combine the negative 5x and the 30x, which would give you 25x. And you bring down to a negative 24. And then you would add 24 to both sides. You would move the 24 to the other side to solve for the x.
Oh, is that supposed to be a 51?
That, yes, it is.
Oh, I was like, well, 24 plus 5 is 29, and we ain't getting any fractions. Sorry. That's supposed to be 51. My bad. That's going to make this make more sense now. Is that 75? So x equals 3. What do I do with the 3?
You can take the 3 and plug it into the y equals 10x plus minus 8.
So y equals 22. So the solution we are saying satisfies the system is 322. And remember, you have to substitute that into both original equations to check it. I'm just not doing it at the very moment, but you have to do that. Okay, so this is number 3. I'm going to choose the bottom one to start with because when you add 9 to both sides, you get x equals 8. Would the top one be difficult to start with? Like, are you going to end up with fractions or anything like that? If you solve for which variable, you're not going to end up with fractions. If you solve for y, good. Because you could subtract the 2x on both sides. Well, then the coefficient of y is just negative 1. Anything divided by 1 is itself, and so just the signs would change. So you could have started with the top one too. That one would have been just as easy. Okay, so add 9, x equals 8. Okay? So, x equals 8, that is a linear equation, but for our purposes, what is 8 going to be?
X and 2.
Yeah, but it's something else for our solution.
The X ordered pair.
Huh?
The X ordered pair.
The x coordinate in the ordered pair. Yeah. So when I first did this, I was like, because I plugged in the 8 here, and I solved for y. So y equals -7, and then I get here and I'm like, there's no y. So I looked at that and I'm like, okay, there's no y. I can't substitute that in anywhere. Then I went back and I'm like, well, I already have x because I just solved one of the equations for x, and so it actually gave you less steps to do. But I don't know, did that kind of throw anybody off in here a little bit? All right, it's 11x minus 7y -15. Do you want me to do you want me to solve for a variable in the top one to show you what it would look like? You guys want to see that?
Sure.
Because a lot of people chose the top one to solve for one of the variables. So I'm just gonna pick which variable would you solve for if I gave you this, like naturally, which one would you think? Which variable?
Y.
Y? Okay. So if, most people gravitate towards solving for y because we've been working with slope-intercept forms for so long. So if I'm going to solve for y, this is what would happen.
So that's what you would do. You would do it just like you would do a regular get y by itself problem.
Yeah. All equations are the same. You do the exact same procedure in any equation that you solve.
Okay.
Okay. So how many steps did I have to do?
3.
And I had a lot of negatives to deal with. That's one thing that really trips people up is negatives. Okay?
So you'd rather do a positive number than a negative number.
What do you mean?
Like you'd rather work with a positive number and get positive numbers to work with than get negative numbers.
Yeah, you would. That would be great. We probably will never be able to avoid negatives, but we can avoid that fraction there. And we can avoid those negatives by choosing the other equation. Do you think solving for x is going to be much different? No, because you're still
gonna get that fraction.
exactly good. So if you look at this one, if I solve for y, I would subtract x on both sides and then divide everything by -2. And so you would still get a fraction. It would actually be the slope of that equation, okay? It would be a positive 1/2. So it would be 1/2 x plus 2.
So you would say 1 divided by 1 on both sides. Well, not divided by, but
What are you talking about?
the x.
Here? Okay. So are you saying you want to solve for x?
Yeah. Trying to get y by itself, like,
You would subtract x on both sides. And then you divide by that -2. And see the problem with this here? I would say 95% of people forget that there is a 1 right there, and then they just put 2x. Well, 2 is not the same as 1/2. Okay? So, instead of doing that, do we have another option?
you can solve for x.
What's the only thing we have to do to solve for x?
You you say plus 2 on both sides, and then you just
Add 2y on both sides, and that's the only step.
that's the only thing you have to do.
So, do you see how that compares to
What those do.
trying to do that? Okay, so we're going to solve for x. Alyssa, will you help me? Work this one? Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. I just looked at the time. I have 10 minutes, and I wanted to go over homework from last night. So can I just do this one by myself, thinking aloud? Okay. I'm sorry, Alyssa. I'm going to add 2y on both sides to solve for x. Okay, so x equals -4 plus 2y. So I'm going to substitute that in for x in the other equation. Okay. I have to distribute my 11, so -44 plus 22y minus 7y equals -14. Okay. I have like terms. I have 22y and -7y. So 22 minus 7 is 15. So we have -44 plus 15y equals -14. Then you will add 44 on both sides. And -14 plus 44 is 30. And then you will divide by 15 on both sides to get a y value of 2. So since y is 2, or what we've calculated y to be 2, we have to substitute that in for y. So x is 0. So our solution is 0, 2. And you need to check it. I can edit this video.